Wait, hold on a second. Is the left actually talking about banning guns? I mean, I am just absolutely shocked by this news. It's not like for the past 100 years they have been talking about banning guns and getting rid of the Second Amendment.
Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore.
I ran on a platform of banning assault weapons and, in fact, lost that race for Congress. I have a D- voting record from the NRA. And I believe that what we need is comprehensive gun legislation that, among other things, provides universal background. We end the gun show loophole. We end the straw man provision. And I believed in 1988, and I believe today.
Why would you
that
leave
assault weapons are
Senator,
weapons from the military, and that they should not be on the streets of America.
Your plan leaves them on the streets. You leave 15 million on the streets.
We banned the sale and distribution, and that's what I believe for many years.
Will you buy them back?
If people want to buy, if the government wants to do that, and people want to bring them back,
you're going to be the government.
Yes.
Will you buy them back?
Yeah.
The problem is Congress has not had the courage to act, which is why when elected President of the United States, I will give the United States Congress 100 days to pull their act together, bring all these good ideas together, and put a bill on my desk for signature. And if they do not, I will take executive action, and I will put in place the most comprehensive background check policy we've had. I will require the ATF to take the licenses of gun dealers who violate the law, and I will ban by executive order the importation of assault weapons.
So to gun owners out there who say, well, a Biden administration means they're going to come for my guns.
Bingo. You're right if you have an assault weapon. The fact of the matter is they should be illegal, period.
Yeah, I mean, how could we have seen this coming? What are they going to say next? That they want to tax the rich and provide free health care to everyone? Don't be silly. That will never happen. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Kyle Dockery with the Dockery Docket. We are here with our very 63rd episode of the Dockery Docket. I'm excited to be here, and I hope that you are excited to be here as well. So, for a long time, as we know, Democrats have hated the Second Amendment and have done anything that they could to get rid of guns. The left will always say that these are not gun bans, but they are always gun reforms. Then later on, they will say that they want to ban AR-15s and assault rifles, and then they don't give a proper definition of what an assault rifle actually is, which shows that they know nothing about guns. Now, one of the main reasons that this whole idea of gun control or banning guns will never happen in the United States is because there's a pesky old amendment to the Constitution that says that the American people have the right to keep and bear arms, no matter what the government says. Now, this issue with guns always comes up when there is a big crisis that happens. Before the bodies are even cold, we get tweets talking about how we are bad people for owning firearms. The media will go on and on and on about different situations, and how if we had one of these laws in place, no one would ever die from a gun again. It drives me absolutely nuts, as we can see that the left is jumping on this train of banning guns and they will never let it go. The government believes that what they are doing will help the victims, when in actuality, these different laws are actually hurting people that are owning guns correctly and responsibly. Now, you are probably wondering, how on earth did all of this start? Well, CNN has been promoting something on their website and chyrons that claim that there have been 7 mass shootings in 7 days. Now, I want to let you know that these shootings are all 100% terrible, and we mourn for the families that lost people in these shootings. These shootings should not be overlooked, but it is interesting how they are reported on by the media. As CNN explained on Tuesday, the 16th, that 8 people, including 6 Asian women, were killed when a white gunman stormed 3 massage parlors. Right now, we are not 100% sure what the motive is, but the media has jumped to the conclusion that this is a hate crime. Now, there could be a case for this, as there are reports that he was a sex addict and apparently liked Asian women, So he thought, why not go kill women of Asian descent, which to me absolutely makes no sense at all, and makes this shooter, no matter what the motive was, racist or not, a scumbag. Along with this, another one of these shootings happened on Wednesday in Oregon, as 4 victims were taken to the hospital after a drive-by shooting. There was no report on the race of the shooter, and this story didn't make national headlines. On Saturday in Houston, 5 people were shot and 1 was taken to the hospital in critical condition. Once again, the race of the shooter was not mentioned, and there was barely any media coverage. On Saturday in Dallas, 8 people were shot by an unknown assailant, and 1 was killed. Still no race was mentioned and no media coverage as well. On Saturday in Philadelphia, 1 person was killed and another 5 were injured at a party. Once again, no race was mentioned, and it barely got any media coverage at all. Finally, on Monday in Boulder, Colorado, 10 people, including a police officer, were killed in a supermarket. The race of the shooter was not mentioned until later, and this shooting got national attention. Now, you're probably wondering, why is it that every time I mention one of these shootings, I include that there was no race or that the media did not cover these stories? Well, the reason is actually very simple. The media is trying to create a narrative that evil white men are roaming the streets killing people of color. Now, because we're not sure what the races are for every single one of these shootings, we can't determine if this narrative is true for every single story. However, we can prove this narrative is true from the last shooting that happened this week, as many people believe that the shooting in Boulder, Colorado was the same situation as the Atlanta shooting, a hate crime. This led to many famous people to turn to Twitter to write about their hatred for white male shooters. As according to Kwam Rashid, the Colorado terrorist is a grown white man who killed 10 people, including a cop. Cops arrested him alive and helped him to a stretcher for immediate medical care. Along with this, according to Rosa Arquette, I can't really say that name, but anyway, she wrote on Twitter, "Call it what it is. White supremacist domestic terrorism." Along with this, according to the niece of Kamala Harris, she wrote on Twitter, "Violent white men are the greatest threat to our country." However, this tweet and other tweets from popular people on social media were deleted. And the question is why? Well, it just so turned out that more information came out about the shooter, and it was discovered that court records showed that he was born in Syria in 1999. However, it is believed that he has lived in the United States his entire life. This means that he was a person of color. He was not a white male. First of all, I don't care what race he is. He is still a scumbag, just like any other mass shooter that we talked about in this episode. However, the media and these Twitter people instantly jumping to the conclusion that this person was white is 100% wrong. The narrative even flipped more for the left, as this man shot and killed mostly white people. Is the media asking if this is a hate crime? No, of course not, because it doesn't fill into the left's narrative of a white man killing minorities. Now, just like the Atlanta shooting, there are reasons to believe that this shooting could be racially motivated, which may be shocking to some. However, for the evidence, we need to turn to Facebook. As on this scumbag's Facebook page, which has recently been deleted, he wrote, "Just curious, what are the laws about phone privacy? Because I believe my old school was hacking my phone." Of course, this was a very strange post, so his friends asked him about it and said, "Why do you think people are hacking your phone?" And he said, "I believe part racism for sure, but I also believe that someone spread rumors about me which are false, and maybe that set it off." Along with this, he had another post where he claimed that racist Islamophobic people were hacking his phone, making it so he can't live his life. Is there a possibility that this crime was inspired by the left's idea that every single white person is racist? The idea that every single white person wants to kill people of color just for fun, and they get away with it because they are white. So what if he thought that white people were a threat? So he decided to go to a supermarket and shoot white people to stop them from killing him or attacking his phone. As of right now, this is just speculation. And just like with the Atlanta shooting, we're not sure what the motive is, and more evidence will need to be presented. And like I said before, no matter what the case, whether this Boulder, Colorado case was a hate crime or if it wasn't a hate crime, racially motivated or not, this person is still a scumbag. It is also very interesting how the shootings in Atlanta and in Boulder, Colorado kind of collide and show how quickly the left is willing to jump to the idea of racism. It is almost like they don't wait for all the evidence to come out and they just jump to conclusions. Then, when they find out that the story is actually different than their narrative, they pivot and turn to gun control, or even a clear-out gun ban. It is a fact that in this time period that we are living in right now, that there is a possibility with a Democratic House, a Democratic Senate, and a Democratic President that gun control legislation will be passed shortly in our lifetimes. However, the simple fact is that Joe Biden shouldn't pass any of this legislation, as it would go against everything that he believes in. I mean, throughout the entirety of his campaign, he said that he wouldn't ban guns. I mean, he even yelled it at a union worker. Remember this moment?
You are actively trying to diminish our Second Amendment right and take away our guns.
You're full of
All right, thank you.
Now,
guys.
shush. Shush. I support the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment, just like right now, if you yell fire, that's not free speech. And from the very beginning, I have a shotgun, I have a 20 gauge, a 12 gauge, my sons hunt. Guess what? You're not allowed to own any weapon. I'm not taking your gun away at all. You need 100 rounds.
So when you were in Beto, when you said you're going to take our guns,
I did not say that. That's not true. I did not say that.
It's a viral video.
It's a viral video like the other ones they're putting out that are simply a lie.
Your voice, you said that you're taking the guns.
Well, he just clarified it. Wait. Take
your
AR-14s.
Okay, this is not okay. Hold on. All right.
Hey, let's don't tell me to do that.
There's a lot of guys.
First of all, he told a woman to shush, which I think is sexist, so cancel Joe Biden. Then he goes on to talk about how much he loves the Second Amendment. Then he says AR-14, which shows that the left doesn't know anything about guns. And then he threatens to beat the guy up. I mean, just what a great, humble guy. Now, there is one video in particular of Joe and Beto O'Rourke in a restaurant saying this.
This guy can change the face of what we're dealing with regard to guns, assault weapons, with regard to dealing with climate change. And I just warning Amy, if I win, I'm coming for it.
We are coming for you. That doesn't sound very pro-Second Amendment. Along with this, we remember that Joe Biden was going to make Beto O'Rourke his gun czar. And Joe Biden said that he would take care of the guns. However, Beto is nowhere to be found. So Joe Biden has to work with the House and the Senate to try and get guns banned. And Joe Biden doesn't even sugarcoat it. This will be a gun ban. As he said in a statement, I urge my colleagues in the House and Senate to act. We can ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines in this country once again. Along with this, if the House and Senate don't pass this terrible legislation, which we'll talk about later, then he will use the power of his pen to get rid of the Second Amendment. As circle back to that, Jen Psaki told reporters that Biden is considering a range of executive orders to try to stop gun violence. Such actions do not require the approval of Congress. However, these executive actions can be blocked by the Supreme Court or federal courts, which will probably be where any of these laws will end up. It will be a huge fight, and hopefully the courts will do the right thing and block these different executive orders or these outrageous gun laws. This issue with Joe Biden using an executive order to destroy gun rights in this country could honestly contradict what he said in the campaign, as during the debate, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris got into a heated exchange about using executive orders to stop the selling of guns. As Joe Biden claimed that you can't use executive orders because we have the Constitution. Just take a listen to this.
In recent days, former Vice President Biden has said about executive orders, some really talented people are seeking the nomination. They said, I'm going to issue an executive order. Biden saying there's no constitutional authority to issue that executive order when they say I'm going to eliminate assault weapons, saying you can't do it by executive order any more than Trump can do things when he says he can do it by executive order. Does the vice president have a point there?
Some things you can, many things you can't.
Let's let the senator answer.
Well, I mean, I would just say, hey, Joe, instead of saying no, we can't, let's say yes, we can.
Let's be constitutional. We got a constitution.
And yes, we can.
Now, it may be surprising to some of you, but Joe Biden has a point here. And Kamala Harris sounds absolutely stupid in this situation as she just laughs and says, yes, we can, Joe, yes, we can. Well, Joe Biden was right. We do have to be constitutional. We, and even Joe Biden at that time, understood that you can't just pass radical gun control measures with a swipe of a pen. It's not how the process works. Also, this Joe Biden flip-flop sort of supports my theory theory that Kamala Harris is actually in charge and Joe Biden isn't. As during the campaign, Joe Biden didn't want to use executive order, but now he does, and Kamala did during the campaign, meaning that Kamala could have told Joe to use executive order. Just saying. Anyway, back to guns. The reality is that these different gun laws are going to start popping up in the House. And more than likely, these different gun control measures will be passed in the House, and then it will be moved on to the Senate. And I'm hoping that in the Senate, there are at least 2 people or 3 people that will realize that this gun control legislation is absolutely stupid and should not be passed. And now, when I say stupid, I mean very, very, very stupid, as one of these laws in particular is called H.R. 8, and if this bill is enacted, it would require a background check for any gun transaction, even if you are lending it to someone temporarily. This would make fathers that wanted to teach their sons about hunting criminals, as their son, even if he is 10, will need a background check. Along with this, there is an even crazier law called H.R. 127, as this bill will ban commonly used ammo like the 50 cal and others. It will also require gun owners to purchase firearm insurance costing $800 per year, and they will have to take a psychology evaluation and a government training course before they can purchase a gun. Along with this, it isn't just the gun owner who has to be evaluated, as according to the bill, the psychologist will interview any spouse of the individual, any former spouse of the individual, and at least 2 other persons who are a member of the family of or in association of the individual to further determine the state of the mental, emotional, and rational stability of the individual in relation to firearms. This means that if you wanted to buy a gun to protect yourself, you may not be able to get one, as mentally you may be fine, but you may have children who have OCD or ADHD, meaning that you can't have a gun because your children may do something terrible with your gun. Isn't that a little ableist by the Democrats? I mean, all because one person in the family has a mental disorder doesn't mean that you have to take away their guns, or their constitutional rights to defend themselves. It is all just 100% ridiculous, and the point is that it will never work. And this is what happens with every single gun law, gun ban proposal. They don't work. And even if these laws were passed, they wouldn't have stopped different criminals from obtaining a gun. Some people buy them illegally. Some people pass the background check. Some people will even pass the psychological test that they were talking about in this bill. And even if they didn't, they would still be able to find a gun or a weapon to use against people. The honest truth is that there are some people in our world that are truly scumbags, and they want to break the law and they want to kill people. These people are terrible, and they should be met with all the consequences of the law. I believe that for every one mass shooter scumbag, there are 10 or 20 responsible gun owners that are just interested in guns, like to shoot or to go hunting on the weekends. Some may even like guns so much that they make a radio show about it. I'm looking at you, the gunsmiths. The point is that you can't ban guns or types of guns, because there are too many people that own certain guns to make a dent. The government could make a mandatory buyback program, and there would still be people that would say no and keep them. And then when the government tries to come to take their guns, they will be in for a rude awakening. I could not imagine a world where they tried to forcefully confiscate guns in Texas or Alabama or any of the southern states. It would be a bloodbath, and it would be absolutely terrible. And no, this is not me calling for any violence against the government. What I'm saying is that these gun people know their rights, and they understand that the reason that the founding fathers wanted people to have the right to bear arms was to stop tyrannical governments. The founding fathers understood if we got rid of the Second Amendment, then the First would follow, and so on and so forth. Because no one would have the courage to stand up to the government, and they wouldn't have the tools to use because they were banned by the government, leading to the government being 100% in control of us. And we, of course, cannot let that happen. In the end, we can all see what the government is trying to do when they try to pass all of these stupid, ridiculous gun control laws. Their idea is to save lives. Just like wearing a mask will save lives. Just like the war on drugs will save lives. Just like war in general will save lives. Just like banning alcohol was meant to save lives. However, all of these examples that I gave led to more people dying and more suffering. The government cannot save your life. The government cannot protect you. You have to defend yourself. And that's why we have guns in the first place. So please, Don't let the government take your guns. You know that they want to. And I also want to thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Dockery Docket. And I will have you know that I'm going on a little bit of a spring break, so there will be no episode next week. I know that this is sad, but I will be back very, very soon. So until next time, like my mom always says, be good, be kind, be loving, goodbye.